A tragedy in the depths. At the Grand Marine Park, on the shores of the Pacific, the noise of the crowd began as soon as the first light of dawn appeared. Tourists clutched their tickets, waiting impatiently for the park's most famous attraction, the Orca Show. For years, this place had been a shrine of dreams and marvel, where people from every corner of the world came to witness colossal creatures leap from the water, their black and white skin glistening under the sun. It was a place of fantasy, a world where the wild was tamed, and where the boundaries between human and animal seemed to dissolve into a harmonious spectacle. Before the show began, a light mist rose above the pool, adding a strange tension to the atmosphere. With every breath, the sharp scent of the sea lingered, a salty taste clinging to lips, and an unspoken anticipation hung in the air. Among all the performers, one stood as the giant, the master of them all. It was the great Orca. The trainers had given him the name Chiron, but most spectators called him King of the Waves. He was a magnificent, powerful animal, a testament to the raw force of nature confined for a human entertainment. His dorsal fin, an enormous triangle of black, cut through the water with the grace and authority of a monarch. His presence was a paradox, a symbol of wild, untamed power, yet here he was, performing tricks for a cheering crowd. That day, stepping into the poolside arena was a young trainer, Jessica. From childhood, she had loved marine creatures and had followed her dreams to work here. She had a passion that was as deep as the ocean itself, a belief that she could connect with these magnificent beings on a profound level. With graceful movements and a radiant smile, she mesmerized the audience, her figure a bright and hopeful contrast to the dark, powerful form of the Orca. Every day she had practiced, building trust with the Orca, learning to guide it, believing it would respond with loyalty and affection. She believed that with enough patience and love, she could bridge the gap between their two worlds. Yet, the inner world of such a beast could never be fully known. Within its heart, hidden forces slept, and its instincts remained untouched by human will. The centuries of wildness, the primal commands encoded in its DNA, lay dormant, but not destroyed. The show began as always. The Orca rose to the surface, slapped the water with its mighty tail, and sent a cascade of spray toward the audience. Children squealed with delight, their tiny hands clapping, while parents cheered, their faces alight with fascination. Jessica danced in the water alongside the beast, her figure seeming to float effortlessly above the surface. Droplets of water shimmered in the sun like scattered gems, surrounding her in a halo of light. Everything looked like harmony itself, a perfect bond between human and animal, a testament to what humanity believed it could achieve when it sought to control nature. The performance was a symphony of coordinated movements, a splash here, a jump there, a seamless partnership that seemed almost magical. But midway through, something shifted. The Orca's eyes darkened, a flash of something ancient and wild passing across their glassy surface. Its rhythm of breathing grew heavy and labored, a sound that, to an attentive ear, was no longer a performance, but a sign of deep distress. It vanished beneath the waves, and then surged upward with astonishing force, its black and white body an explosive missile of muscle and rage. To the crowd, it was another thrilling trick, a moment of heightened suspense, but Jessica felt a shiver of deep unease. She had worked with him long enough to know this was not a part of the routine. The familiar energy of a performance had been replaced by something erratic and unpredictable. Suddenly, the Orca lunged from behind, its immense head a dark shadow, flinging her high into the air. She spun helplessly, a human doll in the grip of an unstoppable force, before crashing into the pool with a violent splash. The audience, still caught in the spell of the show, laughed and applauded, believing it to be a daring and dramatic part of the performance. They were watching a tragedy unfold, yet they saw only entertainment. Jessica surfaced, gasping for air, her ears filled with the deafening roar of water, and her heart pounding wildly against her ribs. Fear, cold and sharp, seized her. Beneath her, the Orca returned, and in a flash its powerful jaws closed around her. That instant shattered the illusion of control. Years of training, of building trust, and of believing in discipline became nothing against the primal force of a predator. Jessica's arms flailed desperately in the water, searching for escape, for a way out of this nightmare, but the beast dragged her deeper, its grip relentless. At first, the spectators still believed it was a daring act, their faces lit with excitement, their cameras pointed at the unfolding drama. But then the surface of the water rippled with red, the waves bore crimson stains upward, and a sudden, piercing scream tore through the arena, a sound of absolute horror that silenced the laughter and the applause. The joyful noise fell away, replaced by a chorus of terrified shouts, the wailing of children, and the collective gasp of parents realizing the nightmare unfolding before their very eyes. They had come for a show, and they were witnessing a slaughter. Trainers rushed toward the pool, their shouts echoing in the suddenly silent arena. Sirens blared through the park, a wail of urgency and terror. They waved poles and tried desperately to distract the enraged orca, but its fury was unstoppable. Years in captivity, trapped behind steel and glass, had kindled something dark in the creature. In that moment, it unleashed every ounce of frustration, every buried instinct, every primal command written in its bloodline. The years of confinement, the endless repetition of tricks, the violation of its natural freedom, all of it burst forth in a single, devastating act of defiance. Jessica's body weakened as her lungs fought for air. Her chest burned with the need to breathe. Her arms grew heavy. Her blood clouded the water, a stark and horrifying contrast to the blue of the pool. Beneath the surface, her life flickered like a candle in the wind, its flame growing smaller and smaller. She broke through the water once more, a final, desperate act, her face pale and her eyes staring skyward. In her gaze was a strange and complex blend of fear, sorrow, and disbelief, for she had trusted the orca, called it friend, given her heart to it. But nature had its law. Instinct, the deep, unchangeable code of a wild animal, cannot be erased. The weight of captivity and the limits of human control met their breaking point in that pool. The orca dragged her down again, and this time she never returned. The surface fell still, broken only by the rolling swell of waves and the eerie silence that had replaced the roar of the crowd. Minutes later, the orca rose once more. As it exhaled, crimson water spurted into the air, a final and macabre flourish. Horror gripped the crowd. Faces turned pale, some fainted, their bodies collapsing under the weight of the shock. Children clung to their parents, who themselves stood frozen in terror, their minds unable to process the violence they had just witnessed. The arena, once a place of joy and laughter, was now drenched in silence and fear, a monument to a shattered dream. That day, the marine park witnessed its darkest tragedy. Jessica's life ended in pursuit of her dream, a dream she had cherished since childhood. She had loved the sea, longed to live in harmony with its creatures, and believed she could. But captivity had twisted the bond, corrupted the potential for harmony. The very power she adored and sought to understand had claimed her. The park faced global outrage. Voices rose against the imprisonment of wild creatures, echoing across the world. You can cage a body, but never a soul, people wrote in angered articles and headlines. You can confine an animal, but its instincts will never be shackled. Jessica's name became a symbol, not just of a young woman's lost dream, but of the dangerous price humanity pays when it ignores the fundamental boundaries of nature. Her story became a cautionary tale, a lesson in the arrogance of human ambition. Years passed, but those who were there never forgot. In their minds echoed the crash of water, the blaring sirens, the terrified screams. Some remembered the sight of the great orca rising, water running red from its jaws, a vision of pure, unadulterated horror. Others remembered the silence that followed, the heavy air of grief that settled over the park like a shroud. For each of them, that day remained etched forever, a reminder of the thin line between awe and terror, trust and destruction, love and death. It was a day that proved that even the most beautiful and seemingly harmonious relationship between human and animal can be shattered by the undeniable power of nature. In the end, Jessica's story was more than a tragedy. It was a reflection of humankind's yearning to master nature, and the punishment that follows when we forget that nature cannot, and will not, be mastered. The orca, once a symbol of the park's success and human dominance, became a stark reminder of the wild heart that can never be truly broken.